Now, are we in a legislative emergency? Some Democrats say yes, but not everyone agrees with this. They made the declaration in order to pass a bunch of pieces of legislation all in one swoop. So what is this emergency procedure and why are we here? Republican leader in the House, Vincent Candelora, joins me now. Good to see you once again.
Thanks for having me.
people who don't know this procedure, it has been done before. What is this quote-unquote emergency?
Yeah, it's an extraordinary procedure. It's typically used when we're not in session. So what was unique is we're actually in session with committee work and public hearings, and all of a sudden now we have this emergency certified bill, which is a bill that circumvents that whole committee process and public hearing process. And it allows us to take it right to a vote without hearing from the public.
So these are a lot of topics under discussion here that would get passed with the stroke of the governor's pen, I guess, right? So what's in this emergency bill that we would see get across the finish line?
Yeah, you could put anything in it. So once the president of the Senate and the Speaker of the House declare an emergency, they create a bill and they could put whatever they want in it. So this bill had 100 sections almost to it. We had stuff on education reform, election reform, pension reforms. We had a warehouse workers bill. We had a bottle deposit. That was sort of the impetus of the whole emergency to begin with. And then there was a ton of earmarks. So it ran the whole kitchen sink.
So now, is this because, and for a bigger picture, 30,000-foot view, is that some of these bills did go to public hearings and they were properly discussed in the last session, but didn't make it across the finish line? Is that where some of these are incorporated here, too?
That's right. I mean, the Democrats attempt to get a second bite at the apple by taking bills that died last year and bringing them up this year. I don't agree with that process. When we gavel out CNADA, everything dies, you start over. And
CNADA means?
Is when session ends.
Okay,
so we ended in June last year. All those issues died. We should be starting it over. And in fact, some of the stuff we were voting on have public hearings scheduled for next week. So it's really a slap in the face to the public to be pushing all this stuff without hearing from them first.
So Senate President Martin Looney said, look, I wish we could carry things over. Will that be possible? Would you have to change the Constitution to do that? Like, is that possible?
Yeah,
to carry a bill over from the last session to this session?
I think it would take a constitutional change to do that, and I don't think it's a good idea. There are some states that do it. I think we are better served when we take up the process each year, because as things change, you have the ability to raise new concepts, throw away the old, and come up with new ones.
So the bottle bill, this is interesting. For people who don't know this debate, we raise, so you take a soda can and you redeem it here in Connecticut, it's 10 cents. Neighboring New York, it's 5 cents. There has been a big kerfuffle that people are coming in out of state and they're bringing all their bottles and cans here. What's the problem? Why is that an issue? So what? Because
we're over-redeeming. So especially with our beer wholesalers who take everything in Connecticut, they're over-redeemed in some cases 150%. So Star Distributors in West Haven have paid out $3 million of additional money that they haven't received from a bottle deposit. Yet,
so that means people didn't buy all the stuff in that regular area. They bought it somewhere else.
They bought it in New York and Massachusetts and brought it over the border. I think it's, given the level that we're seeing of dollars, it's upward of $15 million. I think
15 million.
15 million.
Okay.
I think there's organized crime involved in the sense that people are organizing this effort. Today, I just received pictures from somebody in Massachusetts that says, I drive by this place every day. They sent me pictures of trucks being loaded up of bottles to be driven over to Connecticut.
You're kidding?
No.
So what happens now? So should the state set up sort of surveillance at our bottle depositories so we can get license plate numbers and try to track this? Is that not worth it? What do you think should happen here?
I mean, we set up licensure now for the redemption centers. We've got to hold them accountable. We're trying to get enforcement in place. But government also has to reimburse these companies that are out of this money, because I think it's a constitutional taking of their property without compensation. So there was a piece to reimburse them, but we have to stop the bleeding. I think we need to go back down to a nickel and not let New York and Massachusetts eat our lunch on this proposal.
So what does that mean? Do you have to try to retrofit a bill the bottle bill that's already passed, repeal it? How do you move forward with trying to make that happen?
So we did a temporary emergency fix yesterday, and what we'll have to do now is this session continue to work on the issue, whether we reduce it to a nickel or do some other fixes. But I think both sides of the aisle recognize we got to fix the issue.
So the 15 million you're talking about is just in where you said West Haven? That area alone?
No, 3 million for West Haven alone, but Poland.
Like the New York border. What about like Danbury? What about?
Yeah,
it seems like there would be.
They're over redeemed 124%. So meaning they sold 100 bottles and 124 are being redeemed. Poland Springs and Stanford they're in the hole 6.5 million.
So I want to get to one more question. There's so many topics in this emergency bill. We know that a lot of the money, some of the money is going through some nonprofits. We know these nonprofits do a really good job. But there still is an FBI investigation surrounding some nonprofits in Hartford. Getting money to these nonprofits quickly, should there be more oversight here? I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
That's FBI investigation.
I mean, in that bill, there was another $5 million that's being distributed out to nonprofits. Again, it's the same old, same old. There's not a vetting process. I'm concerned it's going to friends and families. We need to bring integrity to the process. If we're going to keep spending money this way, we've got to put safeguards in place. The federal government has more safeguards in place to protect tax dollars than the state of Connecticut, and that's embarrassing. So I'm hoping that we see that a bill move quicker, but we shouldn't have spent money yesterday, which is what the bill did, without really understanding where that money's going.
Got to leave it there. Representative Candelora, good to see you. Appreciate your time.